Welcome, Karam.
Hi, how's everyone?
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah.
And yourself?
Good.
Where are you calling in from today?
Oh, I'm calling from Whitby, Ontario.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. What about yourself? Are you from an office?
Also, I'm in Gatineau right now, so I came up to kind of help coordinate this event that's happening this week. So,
Yeah, I think most of us are up in the Ottawa region.
I'm quite thankful about that too, because I was talking to my parents in Newfoundland this morning before I came to work, and there's apparently there's 75 millimeters of rain falling in Newfoundland today. So it's yeah.
I mean, we got a pretty good bout last week here too, like 2 days ago. Yeah.
So we won't. I shall not complain about the weather.
Spoken like a true newfie.
Greetings, Mike.
Hey, Scotty, how's it going?
Good, and yourself?
Not too bad. I'm just sort of sneaking away at work here to pop in for a few minutes, and then I got to get going.
I'm glad you could make it.
Yeah, thanks for cutting out some time.
Yeah, always good to see everybody.
For sure. Yeah, I just missed you during your expedition this summer, Mike.
Yeah, because you were
Yeah,
not coming back into Ottawa,
I
or
helped do the I was helping during the first two expeditions in Ottawa, so July. So it's yeah. And you started in August, I guess.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
No.
Mike, which expedition did you go on?
I'm on. I just finished my 13th one this summer, so I've done all Arctic expeditions.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the Iceland to Greenland expedition, and Scotty was there to help out. So I remember the first two.
Yeah,
then like you helped out with. But you ended up going on expedition yourself?
I did. Yeah, I went on the one after yours, so on the NN. So we started in Ottawa just like you, and then we went to Nain. So that was our Goose Bay and then Nain. So it was a lovely expedition for sure. Had a few hiccups with the ship, but what's an expedition without a hiccup?
Sounds like adventure.
Oh, yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. No. And you're calling in from, you work at a library, am I correct, Mike? Or at a museum?
Yeah. Manitoba Museum in Winnipeg. Yeah.
Correct. That's
What's your department, Mike? What do you do at the museum?
So I'm in what's called learning and engagement department. So it's doing programming. I develop the science programs, educational programs for our science gallery and planetarium.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anything fun and exciting coming up for the any new exhibits rolling in? Any fun interactive activities coming through?
Nothing on the near horizon. We're just sort of shifting into winter mode. So that's all of our school programs, and then winter break is a big one for us, especially with that Canada Strong Pass having been announced for winter break again. It's going to just hugely bump up our attendance, which is a good thing. So
yeah, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're just getting ready for that. But yeah, nothing in the next month or so. Luckily, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say not necessarily a bad thing sometimes.
Oh, we just got a new science curriculum announced here in Manitoba, completely revamped, really nice too. So integrated with like Indigenous ways of knowing and other threads that just really pumped it up. But of course, it completely changes how we do our programs in the sense of matching it to our curriculum. So it's nice to have a break and not have any sort of exhibits or events coming in, and we can focus on that core function.
Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a bigger switch over, but like you said, like super progressive, rewarding, advancing, like tying in the indigenous knowledge side of things. So that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You forgot to say, Mike, how long you've been doing this for
Doing students on ice or doing work at the museum?
at the museum. I
Oh,
thought you,
Hazel, count on you to rat me out for my age. I am coming up. No, I'm past 30 years at the museum. I'm coming up 31 in May. So, thank you for calling that out.
no, I just remember you telling us about it during a pre-expedition. So
Yeah. Yeah, I sometimes can't believe that it's been 31 years that I've been here, but yeah, it is that.
and then with students on ice.
Well, as I was saying earlier, I've been doing expeditions since '09, and then I did my 13th one this past summer. So lucky 13, as I kept calling it, and it was a really good one.
Wow.
And last one on the Endeavor too. I gotta tell you, I was actually sadder than I thought I would be on the last day and getting off the ship. We've been using the Endeavor for Arctic ones since 2015, so it was a weird feeling, disembarking her for the last time. I was like, I can't believe it, but it was good.
And Karam, that was the vessel you went on as well, okay?
Yeah. It's a good vessel. So
Yeah.
like they're having new ships in store now. Like are they like what are they gonna do with the Endeavor? Like just get parts out of it, or like?
No, I don't think the Endeavor gets it no longer is being chartered by Adventure Canada.
Yeah.
So I don't think the ship is really going anywhere. I just don't know what's happening with it, what company or organization might be chartering it. But I think, in terms of Adventure Canada though, and then our partnership with them, I think that definitely switches to the two new vessels, which also look really cool. I'm excited for them.
Do you know their names by any chance?
Okay. Scotty, help me out.
I'm
One's the
digging in.
Nova, Ocean Nova.
Ocean Nova, yep.
Yeah, and then I forget what the
Ocean
other one
Victory.
is. Say again?
The Ocean Victory.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm looking at them right now.
I got a link here to drop in the chat for you folks if you want to have a. Yeah, the Ocean Nova looks like a.
So neat. The Ocean Victory looks like futuristic a little bit. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it got like the axe bow on the front. Hey, yeah. Did you ever work for Adventure Canada as well, Mike, or just?
No, actually, this was my first time going like directly with Adventure Canada. I mean, on a lot of our other previous ones, there was always like a liaison or a rep from Adventure Canada. So I got to know like Jason Edmonds and a few others on their team. And then, of course, there was a lot of crossover with like their education staff and our staff. So there were a lot of people that that do Adventure Canada stuff. So I'd already learned a lot about them and knew a lot about their philosophy and mandate and stuff. But this is my first time directly going on that, because we were supposed to do that in the same thing in 2024, but then the Endeavor had some mechanical problems and had to cancel. And so we pivoted to being on Cork expeditions for that year. So yeah, it was my first time with Adventure Canada.
Yeah, that would have been 2 years ago, right? They're 2024.
Yeah, 2024. Yeah,
that was the
when I first met you, Scotty.
That was the dance that we done that last summer or the summer before. Yeah, no, that was, but it worked.
Yep,
we made it happen.
We did. It was a crazy pre-expedition, and then a rush to get to Toronto to catch Cork's departure date, which was a day earlier than we had planned. So as usual, chaos reigns, and we made it work.
Yeah, what more could you ask for?
It kind of wouldn't be expedition without it. I think Karim said it. It's an adventure. It's part of the adventure. It's all part of. I mean, I I could look at a lot of my expeditions and, you know, I remember them because of the things that we did that weren't planned. You know, having to get, you know, transported to our ship by the Coast Guard in 2012 because Frobisher Bay was socked in with ice and we couldn't get to the ship. And so, you know, that I remember that from that. I remember the one where we started in Greenland, headed over to Canada, but then had to cross back over to Greenland again because, again, ice prevented us from getting into any of the major communities in Canada. So, I mean, like, you know, and then I remember 2024 because we had to pivot and change a whole different ships. So, I mean, yeah, you remember your expeditions because of the chaos that can come up on them. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's your favorite thing about expedition, Mike? The
Are you
spontaneity.
asking,
Yeah.
are you asking, is that my favorite thing?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Your favorite part of SY expeditions?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one because there's so many favorite things, like things that I love. I mean, right from the start, I mean, and Scotty, you know about this, Hazel, you know it too, that I love going to the airport to pick up our participants. I like being one of those first people that, you know, as they're coming off the escalator, sort of, you know, uncertain about, you know, what's about to happen, you know, is there's going to be someone there, and then there's these stupid grinning faces with signs at the bottom of the escalator jumping up and down.
That would have been my daughter's faces, not mine. So I would throw them off the van, make them go inside and meet people.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's always a favorite thing. But, you know, I mean, it sounds cliche, but I say this every year when we do our, you know, sort of prep for post expedition stuff on the ship. I always say, like, I mean, my favorite thing are the youth, because if that no longer becomes, you know, my favorite thing, then what am I doing on these things? So I always say that it's you know, the dynamic of, you know, different youth every year, bring in a diverse and rich, you know, sense of culture and community and ideas and thoughts and viewpoints. I mean, that's it, right? Like that's the magic sauce that makes these, you know, so unique. After, you know, a dozen or so of them, you know, there's always a risk that, oh, these are just going to become boring and routine, but they never are, because of the people that are on them. So
No, I think you nailed that, Mike.
yeah.
That's the goal.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, the communities are beautiful. The land is, of course, amazing. The ships are you know, an experience. You know, I'm not putting those off in any way. It's just, if you were to pin me down like Hazel did, I would focus on the youth for sure.
How about you, Karam? What was your favorite part of expedition?
I would have to say Mike had it pretty spot on. I think like connecting with youth, like I myself being like part of that demographic, it was nice to just kind of build like connections and like see people across the world. Like, you know, a lot of my friends now have friends in very remote places. Like what Students on Ice does is, like, you know, they bring like indigenous students, Inuit students, people who are like living very remote places, and bring them on these expeditions. And like, now we're still connected and we still chat. And recently, like Scott, if you remember, like Robert and Bo, they went on the delegation and they stopped in Toronto for a little bit. So I was in the area, so I went and said hi for like a day, and like we spent a good couple of hours just like catching up, and you know, it was really great. Like, you know, Students on Ice lets these connections happen. And like we were saying, like how I'm like from across the world, like I immigrated to Canada from the Middle East, so it's like from very like we're meeting in Toronto, but like from across the world. And like Students on Ice did that essentially. And you know, I'll always be thankful for like the people I meet on these expeditions, and not just the youth, but like also the experts and like, you know, being, you know, meeting like indigenous knowledge holders and like learning about the land, like place-based learning and everything like that. I feel like I'll always carry that with me in the work that I do and moving forward. So there's like so much to love about the program, but I gotta say like the most memorable are the connections. So yeah, definitely. I think that's what I would say.
No, that's I agree, and I find too, like I guess you folks had three educators on board your vessels, but like with me and Tracy's expedition, we had about 1-for-1 for participant to educator, and the participants were between 14 and 18. But I feel like both sides learned just as much from each other. You know, like all the educators on board learned so much from these high school students and junior high students. You know, so it's yeah. The passing of knowledge is just incredible on these expeditions.
Yeah, definitely. It goes both ways from like
Yeah.
educator to student. And even now, like I'm doing my master's, so I'm teaching a few classes. So like I find like I learn from my students and like they learn from me, and it's like kind of give and take. And no matter, you know, like that dynamic, like the age difference and all that. So I feel like, yeah, there's that kind of knowledge sharing kind of just happens naturally when you make those connections. Definitely a highlight of the program, I'd say.
Totally. Welcome, Eric. Nice to see you again.
Hi. How's everyone today?
Oh, on the top of the world.
Awesome.
And
Hey,
yourself?
Eric, it's good to see you.
Hey, Mike, likewise. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah. So I
Eric
guess
was describing the trip last night, Mike, of the ice coming in. So yeah, that's
it's pretty weird. It's been so long. I said that last night too. It's just it's incredible how quickly time goes by, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's, you know, and it's especially, you know, with the whole pandemic and stuff, sort of just providing that like huge like block of time, you know, and then all of a sudden, like I meet up with folks from like, you know, any of the expeditions prior to the pandemic, and it's like, you know, hearing so much about, you know, what they've accomplished and done and experienced in their lives since then. It's like, yeah, but you were literally just a teenager on the ship yesterday, were you not? And no, it's been, you know, like 9 years for you, Eric, and for like others, there's some of my, you know, for my first expedition that, you know, they're in their 30s now, and I'm like, no, because that would mean that I'm in my, oh right, I am old, right? So yeah, it's it's a bit of a, you know, almost like a generational shock almost, but
I think it's funny going from like curfew checks, making sure everyone's in their cabins. Like I see Hazel in the chat just said about funny moments. I remember, I think a bunch of guys decided to get together and start like an informal poker game on our expedition in one of the cabins, like after curfew. I was coming to get my charger that I had lent to someone because we both had slightly older iPhones at the time. So I'm just like, and the cabin opens and I stumble into that. And I'm like, okay, this is happening. And I think you showed up shortly afterwards.
well, I'll let you in on a little secret. I mean, you know, curfew checks are an interesting little dynamic that, you know, I absolutely enforce them. But, you know, the key, what you're saying there is that you guys were at least in your cabins. And so like, as far as I was concerned, you know, that was a check mark on my list. Like, you guys are playing poker, whatever. You know, I count that as a check mark in terms of being able to say that, you know, you guys are where I know you are and you're safe. And, you know, do I prefer you're getting some sleep? Yes. But, you know, at least, you know, we knew where you were and stuff. But
especially on the nights when you're kind of doing the crossings over to like Greenland, you want to make sure nobody's out near the edge of the deck for sure, especially at night. Yeah. I think that happened a few times too. Like I think it depended. I think with you were pretty good about it. Depended on which member of staff you were talking to, I guess. Because I think there was one hallway that was a little bit more of the poker games. I was in the opposite hallway, and I think like Ed Strusik, he was like fine. If we were at one point just outside our cabins, like, but just sitting on the floor in front of our cabin doors, chatting a few guys, and that he was fine with that as long as we promised, like, don't leave the hallway. So it wasn't so bad in the end. But it's like, that's the thing. After a high energy day, you kind of want to like unpack everything you just experienced, and then it's like, okay, into the cabin. It's still light out, which is weird once you're above the Arctic Circle, and so it's kind of surreal at that point to be like, okay, it's bedtime, but it's light outside.
Mm-hmm. And when you've had a jam-packed day full of so many cool things, like it's kind of nice to, in the evenings, to be able to offload. So I certainly can't blame you for maybe staying up an hour or two past curfew, but
Exactly, yeah.
On our expedition, the recent one, like this summer, we didn't have curfews, luckily. So it was really nice. Like we would just hang out in the lounge, like Kuluk would be playing on his guitar, and like we just like hanging out and like maybe we play a few games, chat. It was like really nice to unwind without having to like worry about like, oh, we gotta go now. So, but some of us would like stay up a little bit longer than we're supposed to, but like we'd still have to wake up the next day. So like we were like accounting for that still. But,
For sure.
yeah.
I think that's the thing. It wasn't so bad. Like I think our expedition definitely probably needed it, just based on a few characters, as I think Mike can attest, that they needed the extra structure for sure.
I don't know who you're referring to, Eric, so we're
Oh,
just
you
going to leave it
don't?
at that. Oh, no, I know exactly who you're referring. I'm being sarcastic.
I know. Yeah.
Kirsten, I think that would have been you on our expeditions.
I plead the fifth.
Fair. That's the thing, though. Obviously, nothing like exceptionally bad happened. I think it's just like there's always that energy from built up during the day, of course, with everything that we're talking about seeing. So I think people just needed to get it out of their system. But it was usually all in good fun. But you bring a bunch of guys together, and just youth in general, and fun is bound to happen, and shenanigans here and there. But
the house coats.
Yes, exactly. I was saying yesterday that like one guy came to breakfast in a house coat, and I think he got like mildly told off, and then everyone the next morning showed up in like mild protest wearing house coats, which was an interesting story. Yeah.
I remember on our expedition for the BFP one, we used to have 6 a.m. yoga also. And I think a lot of us would have maybe been up or maybe asleep for only like an hour or two. And then we would stumble into 6 a.m. yoga. And then that's where we would actually sleep. Like, I don't remember Neha, she would get us into Shavasana and then people would start snoring.
Sounds so nice.
Yeah, as tired as we were, we weren't missing 6 a.m. yoga.
Nope. We're making it.
And Pilates, yeah.
I remember Ellie saying too on our expedition, Scotty, because we would stay up so late and we would just end up, doing karaoke or dancing or doing weird fashion shows with what we could find. But I remember Ellie saying, she's like, I don't want to fall asleep because it's such a special, precious pocket of time that we're all going to have together. And so you almost try and like prolong every conversation or prolong the night, but then your body takes over and you're like, no, I am actually a lizard human and I need rest.
Totally.
Oh. Too funny.
There must be I must have took a couple pictures of the some of the parties we had up on the up in the hangar.
That's where you get the weird out. Get your dance. I do remember, Scotty, you were not very good at crib. That was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Everybody says that, and I'm so good at crib. Like other than I got one pack of cards that I can't win with. I've been using those cards for almost 2 years. So we won't talk about the last 2 years. But
I learned this so quickly about you actually. In your backpack, I feel like you had 4 or 5 different games at all time that you could play. Like if we were at a restaurant, Scotty was pulling out the dice or the cards or crib, but you were still bad at. Yeah.
let me see if you're right. I had my dice
Oh my gosh.
and my crib. And that's the pack of cards that are always, I don't ever win with these cards. So anybody ever wants to win at a game of crib, come play me while I keep these cards.
Never change, Scotty. We need to get you like a chess set or some Connect 4 going.
I think I'm more of a checkers guy.
So that's not just for expedition. You carry that around wherever you go always.
Always. I played a game of crib with a lady I met on the flight to Ottawa, who I was sat next to. I don't know if she really wanted to, but I asked her if she wanted to, and yeah. And she skunked me. So, but I kind of feel like she didn't really want to, because after she skunked me, she didn't ask to play a second game. And usually when you're on a roll like that, you want to keep going. So what can you do?
That's awesome. That served us well on expedition. Never change. You never know when your next game of crib's going to be. And then you see Scotty and then you go, never mind. My next game of crib is going to be right now.
Yeah, a cup of tea and the crib. So I guess there was a fair amount of music on your expeditions. Was there, Eric?
There was, yes. One of the things that sticks out the most, I would say, is when we were in Ilulissat Ice Fjord and we went on a Zodiac cruise. And we, after taking in the calved off icebergs, saw humpback whales just start surfacing. And our expedition doctor, Andrew Bresnahan, brought his cello with him. And so he started playing, and we had Tim Baker as well, formerly of Hey Rosetta. And he started playing his guitar, and Andrew, the doctor, started playing his cello, and the whales came closer. Like they were probably feeling the vibrations from the bottom of the Zodiacs. And so we were taking in the music and all singing together, and we kind of brought all the Zodiacs together in like this Zodiac raft and just having a good time. And just like the whales were so close, we could smell like the krill breath, which was a little bit of a contrast, but like to have them that close, to be able to hear and almost feel like they're breathing because they're so big, was just breathtaking. Like, yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Graham, you I guess we had Carter on board your ship, who brought a lot of music to the people on the Endeavour, hey?
Oh yeah, he was like strumming on that guitar and singing like every chance he got. Like in the lounge area, sometimes he'd be by himself. If we notice him by himself, we sit with him and we just like hang out while he plays guitar. It's such a vibe, and definitely enriched the experience, I would say, because like we'd just be hanging out and he's just kind of strumming along, and no, it was great. And he would sing like songs in his language, and it was like, new experiences as well. I see like Hazel put in the chat, like, did you try any new food? Or yeah, like I would say like trying muktuk for the first time, like trying like country food, like that's like a very first for me, and it was very interesting to kind of explore that. And I personally, I really liked it actually. So I'm hoping I'll get another chance to eat that food again, but like you can't find that at the superstore, right? So here like in Southern Ontario, so maybe I might be able to get another chance, but like I'm just grateful for the chance that I got to explore that. And even we were doing some language exchange as well with like the youth. Like we would teach each other our languages, like I would, because I'm like Arabic, so I'll teach a little bit of Arabic. And even like the Greenlandic staff and our Inuit students, like they were connecting as well because they found like similarities in their language. So there was like a lot of those moments of like cultural exchange happening that was like very enriching. So definitely like a highlight of the program.
Yeah, in terms of food, when we were in Greenland, we were in Disco Bay. I think in I can't remember exactly where. There's so many places to remember, but in Disco Bay, there was I guess a poster in town for a kid named Arthur's 5th birthday party, and I was walking further up a hill, like near some houses, and one of our staff approached me with a few of my other friends. He's like, "Are you want to go to Arthur's 5th birthday party?" And I'm like, "What?" It's like, okay. So we got some Danish kroner together and showed up. And he's Danish, Mikkel, the member of staff, and he exchanged some words with them, and so we were able to learn how to say happy birthday in the Greenlandic dialect, and give Arthur a birthday present, like with the kroner we pulled together. And we just really wanted to wish him happy birthday. That was all. We just wanted to show up and just say happy birthday. And his family just like, they invited us in. The hospitality was beautiful, and basically it was interesting to learn about the custom they have in their community. To basically the whole community throughout the day, instead of overstaying their welcome, just comes through to wish happy birthday. And they have like a whole spread of food, like teas, multiple cakes, and there was seal stew, there was tuktu, which is caribou meat, there was eider, a type of duck. We were just able to pick off pieces of meat from this cooked eider, and have tea and chat with them and talk to them about our journey so far. And they had this slideshow on their TV of like their different family memories and showing us their time on the land. And like Arthur was all excited to show us on the wall. They had all these family pictures, and his uncle, he was so excited to tell us. It was a picture of a two-tusked narwhal that his uncle had been able to catch, so there was all these little moments there. And that night on the ship during debrief, we were able to tell everyone about this. Just happenstance little get together to wish Arthur happy 5th birthday. Yeah.
That is so cool.
It just feels kind of like, I guess, just like you with your crib set there, like just being able to create these little impromptu moments with people just by chance. And so those chance encounters, I think, were some of the most beautiful like experiences throughout our expedition.
Totally. Kirsten, did you try any new foods when you were on expedition?
Yeah, I remember in the Mwapakek First Nation in Con River Valley, we had moose stew. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Still one of the best stews I've ever had in my life. But that was really special too, to get invited and to spend the entire day with them there. And they taught us how they used all of the moose and the hide of the moose, and then getting to eat with all of them. I think I said that actually in one of my like reflections of the expedition as a whole, but just how gracious people were with sharing their cultures. I thought that was the most special part, and it just felt like every day I would walk in on a different conversation or learn something new from somebody, and everyone was just so excited to share and to give, and that's something to never take for granted. And I remember too, that same day, Scott, I remember we went and swam at Greg's favorite swimming hole as a child. Like he was like, this is my childhood swimming hole. And so we made the bus stop and we swam in the river, and couple people got leeches, which was hilarious. Awesome. But then remember, we got to teach Rosemary. We got Rosemary in the water for the first time ever. Like they never, first time out of their community, and we're swimming in rivers, and they were so excited, and teaching them how to float. That was, as someone who was like a swim instructor and always grew up around water, getting to share that back with them. And oh my God, still one of the most moving days and experiences ever.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And the seal in Rigolette.
Oh yes, the seal. That was so cool. I actually have I keep my seal skin bracelet that they gave us and that we got to make after that still with me as like a good luck charm. It's always on my purse. But that was really cool. The ulu, remember the ulu?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carving it off, yeah.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys get to make it like have activities where you guys got to make things with people, like crafts and things like that?
Yeah, we all made sealskin bracelets when we
Okay.
got back on expedition, which was awesome. Yeah. What about you? You as well?
For me, like I picked a lot of the activities where I could kind of learn more about knowledge and read and things like that. So I didn't make things as much, but I think something everyone was like that kind of became a trend when we reached Greenland. People started. We went to some of the staff on ship that I believe are like the Ocean Endeavor's crew itself, and went to the welcome desk and we're like, "Do you have any string?" And they found some jute string. And she was just so overjoyed to be able to help us. And people had a trend of taking the Danish coins and stringing the string through them and wearing them as necklaces. So that became a thing that was kind of a fun little exchange as well.
Oh, what a sweet token for
Yeah.
all of you. That's a little bonding. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Also-
on our ship, we had a lot of like beading workshops, but those would get filled up very quickly. So, like you, Eric, like I was attending like more of the knowledge sessions, like the language workshops and things like that. So I was learning a little bit of like Greenlandic and like some phrases and stuff, which helped us kind of get by and like start like actually like practicing that language a little bit with the Greenlandic staff. So it was really neat to attend those sessions and learn a little bit more. But yeah, like those workshops, they're very popular. So a lot of people would come back and beading. And we also had some of the youth on our team. They were into beading, so they were doing that off to the side and showing us their work and stuff. So it was very nice to see that, and like there was a lot of little workshops.
I feel like that's
Go ahead.
that's a big part of a lot of the expeditions. Are just like everybody sharing a workshop that they can kind of that they can lead, because there's so like, and then everybody like there's a lot of people that kind of have overlapping knowledge of it. So it's yeah.
You actually just reminded me, we did like Inuit games. So a lot of like the students, they're like, oh yeah, let's like do some games. So at first we were just in our lounge, SOI lounge, and we were just kind of playing these games. A little bit of leg wrestling and like different games and things like that were like very challenging. So we ended up having the idea to like run like a session on the ship, like on stage with everyone, so other people could see like what we do. And it was really fun getting like that kind of engagement. So that was like awesome, because like we were getting like people to come up on stage and like join us and things like that. So it was really cool just to play like leg wrestling and little games like that. So no, it was really awesome, very like very memorable, I have to say. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I found that I think a lot of the games like you were talking about, I think a lot of that happened on our expedition as well. And it was nice to be able to see people who hadn't really from down south or even from up north who hadn't really been too much out of their communities up until this point. So it's like their first big trip away from home. And so it was really interesting, because some people, I think there wasn't as much country food like on board the ship at this point. So there was a lot of people missing those comforts of home. And so just those kinds of games and things like that were really interesting as a cultural exchange, but also to see people kind of get that sense of home back and kind of be able to cope with that homesickness. So that was really beautiful to see too, because it's pretty big change to be on a ship in quite isolated places that a lot of them either you're in a community, but then you kind of just see the open nature unfolding before you, and just kind of, you don't feel so lonely when you start to connect. And that's what was so nice. And building those connections. It was neat, because even when people would pick certain workshops, some days you'd look at what was on offer and you'd be so torn. You're like, oh, this looks interesting. And then you kind of just have to make the split-second decision and go with your gut. But even if you didn't attend a workshop, just the conversations afterward, like you said, with people beating, like just kind of thing, those little kinds of crafts throughout the day, it helped you kind of even get a taste of those workshops you didn't attend, I found. There were some people, I think, even who brought like little things from home. Like one guy was really big into magic, and eventually when there was like a talent show towards the end, he kind of was doing magic shows, and like he brought like juggling balls to like just play with. And so when we were on shore, he would just be like doing that, and there'd be like people who brought like little things from home to be able to kind of have like an icebreaker to kind of bridge the gap there when we were first getting to know each other. So that was really cool too. Just again, just like your crib set.
Immediately, Scott, I don't know if you thought of this too, but immediately as you were talking, Eric, that made me think of Connor, who was a high school student on our expedition, and he was quite shy and nervous at the beginning of our expedition, and then I think he really started to buddy up. Well, and you bonded with him, Scotty, for sure.
Yeah.
But then we had like a kitchen party one night, and everyone brought out their instruments, and I think someone brought out the spoons. And Connor really took to the spoons. He loved the spoons. And then for the rest of the expedition, he just always had the spoons on him. And I think I still have like 15 different videos of him like on a mountaintop, like doing the spoons. Like he's like in the Zodiac doing the spoons. Like he's just, he found it. He was like, this is my calling. And it just really brought him out of the shell. And then like getting to
No,
watch.
he completely blossomed after
Oh my God.
yeah.
And he was one of those ones that too would sometimes go missing, and we would have to go search for him in the cabin, and he would just be asleep in his bunk. But then he found his love of spoons, and then all of a sudden he's like with everybody, and yeah, that was really special. It's beautiful to see that, and like people find confidence in themselves. Yeah. Oh, he's such a funny character.
Yeah, he's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
Did anyone have any moments where like there was like not an imminent danger, but like you were a little bit concerned at any point during the expedition?
We did. Remember when Abby went missing, Scotty?
Yeah, we had one.
She was also just asleep, but like for hours she was missing, and we were like all on an island, and everyone was like, "Where's Abby? Is Abby gone?" And then I could kind of see the fear in Tara and Anna's eyes, being like, "Oh."
Because and everybody came in, so they were doing the counts as you do, and you're always expecting to hit 20 out of 20, and then it's like, okay, well, 19 out of 20. So they went down through it again, and anyways, it's sure enough, it's like, Abby, where's Abby? And then everybody's like, we haven't seen Abby all morning, and we like steamed from the coastal Labrador, that like south down the coastline, and then get into Battle Harbor. So it's like, holy smokes, cold water too, you know. So like and Tara was back on the ships. Was like Anna radioed back, like, hey, can you check Abby's bunk to see if she's still in her bunk? And anyways, Abby wasn't in her bunk. So then I guess panic started to go through, but she was just sleeping in one of her friends.
Yeah. She was sleeping like either in a different room or just like no one knew where she was.
Yeah. So it's
I think that haunts Tara and Anna still to this day. You know what's funny too is Abby's really good friends with Tara's daughter too. So Abby stays with them now, and Tara's like, I thought you died. You gave me so much grief.
Yeah. For us, we had we were in a bay with a glacier in Greenland, and I think one of the staff, I think his name was Uli. He was one of the Greenlandic staff, I think, maybe. And his Zodiac got what Jeff felt was a little too close to the Great Glacier.
Oh, no.
And it might have just been like kind of an optical illusion, because whenever you're out on the water like that, sometimes with the solar glare, it's a little bit hard to judge distance, I found.
Totally.
So I don't think they were necessarily as close as it seemed, but you know, we started hearing the cracking sounds and a huge chunk comes off the glacier. And then we see the swells coming towards them, and Jeff's like on the radio, like, get out of there now. And so, yeah, then the waves hit them, and then it looked so freaking like badass, like in a movie. Like they're just riding that swell. He revs the engine, and then they just kind of come in, and then just calmly the wave settles. But then we get hit by the waves, and we're like, okay, that looks scary.
Like, I thought this was a Students on Ice expedition, not a Mission Impossible Tom Cruise stunt. Oh, that's good. Well, I feel like if Jeff is getting on the radio, people to get out there.
Yeah, so
Not as convincing.
Frankly, not as close to the call, and I think it wasn't too close a call, obviously, but I think it always makes sense, like obviously because of how concerned your staff were when they couldn't place her, that just the abundance of precaution makes sense in all of these scenarios, because I think that's what's amazing, seeing the staff come together. And like, it's really hard to forget how much of a logistical nightmare an expedition can be. Mm-hmm. All that happens behind the scenes, I feel like I kind of took for granted when I was first there. But in retrospect, like knowing all the staff pulled off was, Yeah, because so much can go wrong, but they year after year come together and keep all the students safe, and it's really a great job, I find.
Yeah. I always marvel when Tara tells the story of the first BFP expedition, because that was the first one that she ever led as well, like because Jeff wasn't on that one, which is also weirdly why I ended up on the ship, because Jeff didn't end up coming, so then a bunk freed up. Weird bit of lore there, but it was Tara's first expedition, and she was like, I couldn't imagine if I had lost a person on her first time leading. So I think she rused Abby for that moment also, but yeah, she only had like a few weeks notice that she was going to be jumping on for Jeff and running the show. And yeah, the way that her and Anna pulled that off is, yeah, it's heroic, truly.
What year would this have been?
That was 2023.
Okay, wow. Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty, I remember too her saying towards the end of it, I think it makes it all so much worth it when you hear about like how intricately and it impacted everybody, and sort of, you know, getting to sort of marvel at the connections and the thing that you helped create. I think helps those logistical nightmare moments feel a little easier in hindsight. But as long as you're mostly laughing through it with like the occasional scream for your life, then it's a good time.
Yeah, I remember, because like I live in Ottawa, I remember being in the office volunteering a little bit, helping out kind of at that point. And I remember like just going downstairs to visit like people from my expedition in 2016 when the floor below the office was C3 Central. And I remember them having to pull rabbits out of hats, like just to make sure every leg was lined up. And it was it really is a whole production to get everything and everyone where it needs to be. And so it's but it always the staff, it's always such a talented group of people. So again, like I'm gonna just say like thank you to all the staff here who are making this this little, well, it's not so little, this endeavor come to be for the 25th anniversary. Yeah.
Oh, we'll pass it along to the people here. But yeah, no, SOS.
We appreciate you guys taking it apart. And this is yeah, we're doing it for everybody who we're doing it for you guys. So it's it's really,
honestly, it's so nice to just be able to chat with people and like hear about your past expeditions, and yeah, see that it's still, the journey's still going on, and yeah, that's great.
yeah. SOI breeds a close-knit bunch for sure. So Karam, your pre-expedition started in Ottawa, right? Yeah. Mine and Kirsten's started in St. John's. Eric, where did yours start?
Ottawa as well. Yeah.
Okay.
We were we had it was so nice when we finally got to Iqaluit, because it was hot. We were in the middle of a heat wave right before we were due to go north. And we were in I guess during the summer they rent out the University of Ottawa campus for the dorms, I guess. And for some reason they decided, like the campus decided to save money by not having the air conditioning on. So it was hot. And so we were able, I think someone figured out that you could get the window up over the block to have them open bigger for ventilation, because they have them so they don't open too big. I guess exam seasons can be kind of hard, but yeah, it was nice finally. We had a bit of a delay, I think, when we first were due to fly north. We were at a hotel near the airport. It was so gracious to be able to accommodate like 200 plus people right before we were due to fly, because there was fog up north, like a big fog layer had rolled in. So they told us like we were gonna have to wait till that cleared. So we were able to have breakfast there at the airport hotel. And then they're like, okay, we're gonna take a shot. We think there's a window. And then they're like, otherwise we might have to fly all the way back. So we were like, okay, please. And then thankfully we circled for a bit, and they're like, we're not sure if we're gonna be able to land, but finally we did. I think it was around like midnight by the time we landed. But once you got off that plane, that wave of like nice cold air was such a relief.
I believe it. And Karam, when you guys flew out of, was it Toronto that you flew out of?
Like when we first started, like from Ottawa.
Yeah, because we brought you to I remember bringing you to the train station, right?
I came by bus from Whitby area, so like near Toronto. So
Mhm.
went by bus and I got picked up. But yeah, we came back in Toronto and we had like an overnight stay. And yeah, it was great to just kind of unwind that day. So yeah, but we were like from Ottawa to like we had like a stop in Montreal because it was like
Yeah, okay, yeah.
yeah. So it was like 2 planes we had to take, but it was just like a transfer.
It was relatively smooth.
Yeah, for sure. And then we were like in Reykjavik for like half a day, so we got like a little walking tour, and yeah, it was pretty fun. But we only got to stay in Reykjavik, so we didn't actually go around like Iceland. But it was like
Mhm.
just to board the ship that day. But I remember that being kind of a long day because like after the plane ride, we hit the ground kind of running. So it's like try to sleep on the plane if you can because it's like you're boarding the ship, you're still like doing stuff. So it's a little bit of a long day, but we're pretty smooth, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, did you find it's nice to finally get to the ship and kind of get your bearings, get settled in your cabin. I found that like it feels kind of like magical, like kind of like a Harry Potter moment, like the British boarding school moment where you get there and then your suitcase arrives just like ready there, like your trunk, and it's like okay, and finally getting settled in is nice, isn't it? After that long day.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hazel's asking, did any of you have trouble sleeping on the ship? I actually like really liked sleeping on the ship because it would like rock you like a baby, and I
Actually,
was sleeping like a baby, so it was really nice. And luckily, I didn't really get seasick, but like in the beginning, I kind of like would notice like my eyes, like maybe like this kind of weird vertigo feeling. I don't know if anyone else kind of noticed that. It's like, whoa, I'm moving right now. I'm rocking, and like, but luckily, like I would just look at the horizon and like it would be that would help me with the seasickness. But luckily I didn't get sick. But like I carried gravel on me and like I became like the walking pharmacy essentially because like I had Tylenol. I was always like with my first aid kit. So like people would always come up to me like I was the guy essentially. Like, oh, you need gravel, you need Tylenol, you need like extra socks. Like I came prepared. So like I was like distributing that, just helping everyone out. So.
awesome.
Did anyone do those seasick patches? Did anyone try those?
I didn't have to in the end, thankfully, because I didn't get too seasick once I was on board. The horizon thing helped so much, like you said, Karam. But yeah, I think it was just really about feeling bad for the people who were really going through it. I think some people got used to it pretty quickly with just some kind of, like you said, the initial kind of eyes getting used to it, but then I think some people kind of didn't really it didn't really get better for them, which I like my heart went out to them. But like I think that's what's so nice to not have needed your gravel yourself, so that you could help people. So that must have felt good to be able to do something about it.
Yeah, I ended up walking away with like an empty bottle of gravel and everything. But yeah, it was good to help because like everyone was like kind of needing it. And I felt bad, especially for like those stormy days where like, the waves would be quite high. So you'd feel it more. And like, I was like preparing myself, like I would always have it like in my pocket essentially. And like, I think like some of the educators also gave me some of those patches to hand out because I became the guy. So like,
They were like, you're our strongest sailor.
Yeah, grab all dealer.
yeah.
And some people had like those like travel
Yeah.
airplane kind of sickness kind of patches that are like
Those
bracelets,
pressure, those pressure
I don't
points.
know how well they work, but I think some people were willing to try anything at that point. I think some of the like there was like throughout the Ocean Endeavor, there's like these little snack stations sometimes that they'll kind of periodically throughout the day the staff would put out, and so I think those spots there were like little tea stations. So I think some people were finding, I think there was maybe ginger tea or something like that was also helping some people with the nausea. So I think I think for me too, even without having the full blown seasickness, it was always nice to be able to grab a cup of tea, something warm after being out on some of the wetter days.
Yeah.
Yeah, that station was really nice. I would always grab ginger tea. So
Yeah.
I would eventually try the other ones too. Like there was everything. The coffee machine and the espresso machine. Like, it was really nice to have that. So you just grab that and then go into the lecture, like the public workshop, education. It was nice to just kind of have something to sip while you watch.
Yeah, I found it weird actually coming back on land. Like afterwards,
yeah.
I felt so strange. I felt like a weird robotic version of myself. Like I didn't trust my legs ever. And I felt like I was like walking low to the ground. It's still moving. Like, what is wrong with me?
You find it like worse than going onto the ship coming off?
Yeah, I think I found coming off. I think I didn't really notice it until like the whole expedition was done. And then we were docked that last night in St. John's. And so we weren't moving that night. And then I was like, oh, I feel weird sleeping. Like I almost slept worse because I had gotten used to the sort of rock by baby feeling. And then when we were walking around St. John's, I mean, we were all delirious from being tired and 10 days of expedition. But I also was like trying to go up hills and I was like, this feels so wrong. This feels so... I'm not meant to be doing this. I'm meant to be sort of semi-weightless at all times.
It's a pirate's life for us, eh? Like it felt like you see why in Pirates of the Caribbean why he walks that way. It's that, I think.
The Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. Because I found like on the Wayfair days, especially during like the crossing to Greenland, like when it's really listing, you're kind of going to the buffet to get your food, and you're like kind of like stumbling a little bit. And it's a wonder, I think, that all the food and the plates and cups thankfully stayed where they're supposed to stay. Like I'm wondering if with like the cups and plates for ships, if there's specific like standards for them, like in terms of their height and their weight to stay put. Like I'm wondering if that's something that is a science for the hotel manager of the ship.
I think there totally is. I remember talking to our chef Brian about this, and he's like, well, you don't really put things in cupboards. Like he's like, everything is either on like a grippy mat, and then like sauces or like breakable things stay in drawers. And I was like, oh, that would make more sense because then you can just like make sure the drawer is already slammed. But I remember one day we had 20-degree tilt. I don't know if you remember this, Scotty.
Oh yeah, that was the day we were coming around the Cape of St. Mary, and the swell was coming north, so the waves were hitting directly on the side of the ship. So,
yeah, we were losing.
Somebody put their plate down, didn't they?
Yeah, and we were all like trying to eat. We're like, oh. I think we also had a messy dinner too. It was like some sort of saucy, soupy stew situation. And we were like, how the hell do you eat this?
Yeah.
But somebody laid their plate down without one of those sticky mats, and it just went right off the side of the table.
Oh goodness.
I remember too, they still tried to get everybody to go up to the hangar to have sort of like our debrief session post dinner, and usually those are like really lively and everyone's like having good conversation and like it's silly and we're laughing and we're reflecting, and then we all get up there and it was like the quietest, well not the quietest, but just like a somber air had fallen upon everybody because people were just seasick. Like I remember at one point looking down at one of our friends, Ellie, who is just like this total comedic genius, but the look on her face was just absolute despair. Like she was just like, oh my goodness. I thought we were going to lose her for good.
Yeah. And then me and you just cleared out all of the...
Yeah, you and I were fine.
We pushed all the chairs to the side and we're like trying to run back and forth. Just like, whoa.
I'm assuming the seasick people are like, that's not helping, eh?
No, they were like
out of it.
Making it
we called
worse.
the meeting off early just to, nobody was listening. Yeah.
It's not an experience you get often though. So it kind of is something so unusual to make the most of though, that weird scenario.
It's such a part of an expedition, like it's
it's a circus. I know
seasickness is real.
I know, but Scotty, now I'm realizing we maybe should have been more like Karam and like being more helpful. But we were being more like clowns. We were like,
were we ever? Yeah.
I guess I guess Hazel's just asking what we hope SOI will continue to focus on in the next 25 years. For me, I guess I think just hearing a lot of the stories has kind of made me think about like maybe putting out a call to like document some of these things and chronicle some of these stories before it gets on newsletters and people like kind of forget the details. I think I've noticed like just checking the website a while ago, I think, I'm not sure if the 2016 blog posts are still up or not. I don't think they were when I checked. So I'm wondering if people might want access to things like those. And just kind of, I think some people were really diligent, I found, with their journaling to kind of like write everything down, but some people were too like overwhelmed that night, I think, to kind of like get it all on paper. So I think just kind of, if photo sharing too would be something too, because I found some people took pictures on our expedition, and like, you know, there wasn't as much of an exchange afterwards. Like everyone kind of just went home, and so I think kind of getting a collection, like we had Maeva's presentation yesterday, Maeva Gauthier's presentation about the work she's doing in communities with like photo voice projects where pictures are taken and then there's voiceovers done. So kind of maybe a call for those kinds of student projects to kind of document and chronicle some of these stories to share, I think would be really cool.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like a archive or like a digital archive of like all the pictures. I was kind of surprised when we came back from our expedition and there wasn't a shared Google Drive where we could just upload, everyone like upload all your pictures into this Google Drive and your albums and everything like that. And like there should be like a drive for like each expedition essentially, so you could click and you could see all the pictures that were taken and like maybe do like a photo voice or things like that, or like not just for pictures but also like your journals and like your little notes and things like that. It should be like more open rather than like so centralized essentially. Like you would like go through the, to like do the blog post, you have to go through like the Google form and do it there. Like keep those blog posts as well, but like have all of those like in a folder that's easy to access without having to find the link. And like, you know, the website, the web pages get updated and like you might lose those, but it's good to just kind of have like a Google Drive for the alumni. So yeah, I totally agree with that. But also, what I hope SOI will continue. I remember, Scotty, are we still doing like Arctic policy cohort? Like, is that still happening? Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that, but I was hoping, is there like more continuous kind of version of that? Because like the 3 sessions, like I found like those discussions were really good. If we could like continue with the cohort and like keep those discussions more active rather than like having each cohort 3 sessions and then it kind of ends and then we start over, which I really like that kind of continuous conversations. But it would be nice, I was thinking, if those were more continuous, because like I talked with other cohort members, they were like, yeah, it felt kind of abrupt, like the way those discussions ended. Like those discussions could like continue. I don't know. That's like something that like kind of came up in my head. But like, yeah, those Arctic policy cohort sessions were really great, and I'm happy to hear they're still going on. So that's good. What session is it now? Is it? Because I was 8. So
yeah, we'll do APC 9, so Arctic policy cohort number 9. I guess as soon as we can kind of but once this is all over and once like, because we have this week, next week we have our book launch. So like I feel once those sort of things are kind of past us, then we can dig into more of the like we'll start up another APC 9, I would say, and we can certainly if you're interested, I'm sure you would be a lovely we'd love to have you back.
Yeah,
but no, those, like I appreciate, because we can still do a Google Drive for your IKN 25. Like those type of recommendations, dude, are so useful, because it's nice to hear the others, because like us workers, like we can only, like oftentimes we're talking amongst ourselves, but we could forget about something like that, you know. So it's yeah. So I got those things written down, and let me see what I can dig into to have. But I do like the idea, because the conversations we had in APC 8 was they were fantastic. You guys, great speakers and great questions. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome to hear about the policy cohort, though. That's to get that. I wasn't too much part of that, but just like reading up a little bit on it was really interesting to see it as an initiative. Yeah. And like when I see all the art that was made on Expedition, it was something that was like sad at me at first, because I realized now, remembering I did make something. I was doing the lino cut workshop, and I made it like a print block, and that got lost in the shuffle. But thankfully, Rachel Boer found mine at some point after I was like a few years later, and I got it sent to me, and I was so happy to finally reunite with that. But I noticed that some people who made like the little sealskin ukpik, the little owls, in the US with their laws can't send like that kind of stuff. Like it can't cross the border because it's from a marine mammal, right? So some of the students kind of get removed, I think, from their art. But being able to maybe have like some sort of digital art gallery would be really cool, I think, because then they can, in that way, you know, have a way to see their piece of art.
In the yeah.
Hazel just asked me, did any particular educator knowledge folder make a big impression on you? I really enjoyed like conversations with Alika Hammond. She is the former Prime Minister of Greenland, and it was like excellent. Like we would be on the Zodiac together, like, and several times we'd like spot seals together. Like we'd be like, oh, you see that seal over there? Sometimes in the morning, sometimes on an excursion, like we'd notice that. But like, yeah, we would have a great discussion, and like I was doing like, I'm currently doing research on like decolonization and things like that. So that came up in conversation, and I invited her to come to the SOI lounge and like talk to us about decolonization, and you know what she can share, all her insights. I think like speaking with the youth instead of just like having it be like open to everyone, like in the main stage where like everyone would watch her presentation. I feel like just come to us. We're just like 20 students, and like it would be great if we could just hear more from what you have to say about that to us. And it was a very kind of impactful moment. A lot of things came up, things impacting communities. Some tears were shed, and like hugs were shared. Like Alika and I, like we hugged, and like other students were touched as well. And it was very impactful, I would say. And you know, it was great kind of just like facilitating that in a way, like just like inviting her, because like it's kind of hard. Like she could be intimidating, right? She's like the former Prime Minister of Finland, so it's like hard to just kind of like ask. So like none of the other students asked her to like come and invite. So she thought like they weren't interested, or like she didn't want to bother us. So I was just like, no, like we want you to come, and like we ended up setting a time aside for that, and it was really great just to have those conversations, and they were very like important to have, even though like they could be sensitive, they could be a little bit tough. Like the students, we walked away like feeling more positive, and it was impactful way, because decolonization is not an easy subject. So you know, I felt like that made like the biggest impression on me.
Yeah, I think about that point you made kind of people having that like mental barrier, like with someone like of such importance, you know, being able to just like talk to them, like just it's you get, once you get over that, it's a little bit easier. But that's something I was on a panel sending off the 2017 expedition after mine here in Ottawa at the Museum of Nature, and that's something I tried to impress upon these students about to launch on their expedition, was like, these staff are here for you. They're here to make your experience like something special and for you to learn, and like don't hesitate to ask any questions. Like that's what they're there for. They kind of, these people they signed up to do this and to really make it an experience for you to create connections. So it seemed to really help some people, some of the things I was able to say, just to give them that reminder, like, you know, like if you have a question, it's not a silly question, don't be shy. Like as long as you respect kind of the framework of decolonization and don't ask something obviously offensive, and you just do it openly and with curiosity, then it has usually a great outcome. And so people came to me afterwards, because I was able to be at the launch and at the welcome home part, like kind of event. And it was cool to see them before. A lot of them were like so shy. And then afterwards, like you could see like they had a different look in their eyes, and they're like, thank you for saying this. Like I was able to like have some difficult moments where I was homesick, or like different problems they had. Like I shared that I suffer from anxiety, for example, and like that when it comes to not just questions about learning, but if you're having a hard time, that the staff are there for you. And so they were able to approach their expedition with a lot less apprehension because of that, and more courage to ask questions that they might not have thought to ask before. So that was really a cool thing too.
Oh, Hazel, that's such a hard one, but I think I would love to go to like Nunavut, honestly, because now like I have connections there. Like I got friends in Pond Inlet and like Kudluktuk and like all different communities there, Drillhaven. Like I know their communities because like I still talk with them. Like we're still connected as alumni, and I even invited them to like these sessions. I'm like, hey, are you guys gonna come to this? So like I know some of them. They're like, oh, I'm interested in these sessions. So I think like going to Nunavut would be nice because like now like I kind of have connections there, and like I'd love to like visit these remote communities. So if I could go on another expedition, it would be something like that. So something more local because like Greenland, Iceland, and Greenland are a little bit far away. So I think like some bringing it back to like Canada like would be very interesting. Yeah. What about you, Eric?
I think I was thinking about like Antarctica at one point in the like at some point, but then like I don't know. I fell in love with the human aspect of the stories that you get to see. Like I love nature and everything and the scientific aspect, but seeing that traditional knowledge is like it's not something that should ever be like held on a different level than scientific more Western scientific research, and because it has such a colonial approach, it was really amazing to like I never really thought that, but like just seeing it firsthand was something that really opened my eyes, because it was really neat to see that we had some scientists like from the Museum of Nature, for example, but the respectful way in which they approached, first and foremost, centering not just, asking Indigenous people for their knowledge, because it's not something that should be volunteered, like without first giving it its due respect. And also just, being respectful that we're coming into other people's homes, that we're guests here, about leaving no trace, and that we're here to learn, and that as long as we're respectful, it can be an experience where it's an exchange as opposed to an extraction. And that was really, really beautiful. I think about like seeing projects that are first and foremost centering the agency of these Indigenous communities, their sovereignty and capacity for self-determination in finding solutions to climate change, is never to like prescribe a solution and say like, this is the solution, this is the way. Like just recently, I think Caitlin Bakey, who was staff on my expedition, I think her dad was like, he was in charge of like, I don't know if the word is superintendent or whatever, of Torngat's National Park. Torngat Mountains Park, but that's who she is. She basically, sorry, having a bit of a brain fog moment there. It happens sometimes, but yeah, it was really interesting to see the approach that people had with storytelling, I think, but also that. So there we go. I remember now. It's hard because I'm trying to think of all the different moments, but. She was involved on the ship when they found the Franklin expedition ship that had been lost, and it had never been lost. The communities knew where it was basically this entire time, and had we stubborn, Westerners, like the stubborn settlers, just listened, they would have known where this was.
Exactly.
And knew that these explorers kind of would have done better if they hadn't, like all that time ago, had done better. They would have maybe had more of a cultural exchange and not come to take as opposed to learn. It's their hubris that ended up making that expedition go the way it did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And you really bring an interesting point about like a two-eyed seeing framework, which is like just an approach to knowledge that involves Indigenous ways of knowing and like Western ways of knowing together to like address issues, rather than just like Western ways of like knowing and like kind of imposing those frameworks on like communities, right? And like in a way to kind of dominate the space instead of like sharing it and like working together and sharing those two frameworks. And especially with the history of colonization and ongoing colonization, it can be like you could see like the Western centric frameworks are more dominant, and like they try to impose that, and that could be very challenging, especially because like, to address these issues, like these things happen at the speed of trust, like these collaborations, these developments that are going on in the Arctic, to have equal, stakes in these projects, and like have that kind of collaboration. There has to be like, that equal balance in frameworks, and like thinking together rather than just like thinking for them, and like doing this, like you're prescribing the solution. You said it, like that's a good word to say it. You're prescribing the solutions using just one perspective rather than taking into account the indigenous ways of knowing and like their knowledge of the community. Like you said, like that example about the chip. They knew all the time it was there, and it's like common knowledge to them, but like the scientists didn't bother because they were just relying on their own frameworks. So I think it's very important to address and kind of bring that to the forefront, to just address these like complex challenges, right, that we're facing.
Yeah, I think it was cool too, because there were some moments where like, it gets really emotional depending on what place you're at. I was talking yesterday about how we were at Hebron, where in the 50s, a whole community was uprooted and displaced forcibly to the south, to a more southern community. And, just being able to enter these spaces and understanding that, these things aren't just historical, like you said, they're ongoing. And it's been interesting to see that, like you said, like the being on a ship with all these people from all these different backgrounds, all these different disciplines, that interdisciplinary approach too has been really cool to see how like someone who's like a botanist can collaborate with someone who's a musician. Like those kind of matches that shouldn't in like at first glance work, how they do work, has been really interesting too.
Just seeing like the interdisciplinary like kind of perspectives like come together, and I thought that was really interesting, like seeing like geologists, seeing like the different experts, marine biologists, policy makers, educators, like everyone kind of coming together and finding that knowledge, and like we as like sitting there mediating and like kind of negotiating all these kind of different ideas, and like kind of marrying those subjects together, and like seeing things with a new perspective that kind of combines everything. I thought like the interdisciplinarity of it was a really great takeaway, because like you're walking away with a newer perspective by like combining everyone's expertise into your own.
Did you find that it was like hard to kind of look at the two different perspectives and or did you ever find that there was like anything that was lost in translation at any point in time? Because it's like two different worlds kind of colliding, and like obviously historically that's caused conflict as opposed to collaboration. Did you see any of that, or was that were there interesting ways like that staff helped step in to kind of resolve any cultural differences, because you have people from all over the world, right, who are on this ship? Did you ever find that, or did you find generally people kind of really figured it out quite quickly?
I think nothing comes without its challenges, but ultimately it goes pretty smoothly if you're like open-minded and like willing to learn. So I think like with the support of staff and like even your own willingness to learn, I think it kind of goes over smoothly. But yeah, some things like you can't learn everything in like one session, right? It's like kind of an ongoing process of like learning and mediating different disciplines. Right now, my master's program is in legal studies, political science, and communications. So it's like 3 disciplines, but we're looking at like how to solve social issues. And you can't solve social issues by just focusing on one of those 3. I think you need all 3 or even more disciplines to kind of think about how do we actually solve these problems, right? So that's why I think it's important, as difficult as it can be to kind of mediate and like, like navigate those different disciplines. I think it's a necessary challenge to address and like, move forward in, rather than just like being too focused on one perspective. It's good to have multiple, and now you're seeing like the bigger picture. But obviously, like the more disciplines you add, the more it gets complicated. It's like having a paint bucket, right? Like maybe you mix two colors together, you get like a nice gradient. But if you mix like all the colors together, you just get like black. And it's like you can't paint with that, right? So you're not getting a gradient anymore. You're getting a little bit of incoherence essentially. But it's good to just kind of have that nice balance of like, you know, different disciplines mixing together and like getting enlightened a little bit more with like newer perspectives essentially. So I think that's like kind of important. But yeah, definitely not always the easiest, but also I think it's very important to not do what is easy, but like do what is right.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
folks, I gotta jump off right now because I gotta just jump into our meeting that's going to start at 2. But I hope you folks can join, and this was an awesome conversation. So we'll I'll chat with you. Hopefully, I don't know if we have a session tomorrow. If not, I might be able to squeeze one in at some point. But if not, I'd love for you to join this this chat again on Thursday.
okay, thanks for having us.
Yeah, come back.
Thank you.
This was a lovely conversation. So nice to meet you both.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you for all your
All
comments.
right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you
Thank
guys
you.
in the next session, hopefully. All right.
Bye.